Hey, I want to welcome everybody to this evening's general meeting. It is our second Zoom general meeting that we're having here on August 27th. I want to welcome everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We have council attendance, a moment of silence, the acceptance of the agenda for this evening, rules of order, follow-up from the last general meeting of July 30th. We have an update on the pandemic response, the MCA's overall response, the departments and programs response within the MCA. As well, we have a presentation from the Director of Education, as well as other folks from the Education Department on the resumption or reopening of the schools in the fall or September in a couple of weeks. We have an update from the Waterways Committee. We have a number of questions that we've received ahead of time via email that we will go through. There's a couple questions from last month that we didn't get able to address. They came in a little bit late. Then we'll pass a resolution. We have an announcement to make, and then we will adjourn for the evening. So with that, I want to let everybody know that all of the members of council are here. Chief Vince Thompson will be joining us momentarily and let us know. So could I have a mover to accept the agenda as presented? Moved by Chief Vanessa, seconded by Chief Connie, and all the members in favor, please raise your hand in front of your camera so I can see them. And any members against, please raise your hand at this time. Thank you. It is carried. I'm going to ask for a moment of silence. I know that we're on the Zoom system now, but I just want to pay tribute to the members of our community that have passed away in the last month. We always observe a moment of silence in tribute to them and their families. So we'll do that now. All right, thank you very much. So this evening's meeting is being held on the Zoom platform. Again, this is our second general meeting that we've had on the Zoom platform. All of you know that we're dealing with some very extraordinary times in our community. The global pandemic in which we're faced with right now has brought lots of changes to the things we do in our daily lives, and as well here at the Mohawk Council and with our council and chiefs. So since the virus that we're dealing with is transmitted, easily through droplets from one individual to the other, health and ourselves are recommending that people not gather, and unfortunately that means that we're not able to have the regular community meeting that we normally have at one of the district recreation centers. So we are having it here virtually, and it is different times, but we're making the best of this this evening. So for this evening's general meeting, we began about 6 p.m. We're going to go to about 8 p.m. Based on timing. At that point, we'll assess at 8 o'clock if we need to continue to go further or if we carry things over into another meeting. I do want to say that the rules still apply for community meetings, that we will not deal with personal issues in this forum, because this we do still consider a public forum, that any items that are a personal nature will be addressed one-on-one. You can call our offices or speak to one of the chiefs to arrange that for follow-up. Well, we can't, some of you may know how to raise hands on this Zoom system. We ask that you please keep it orderly. If you know how to raise your hand on the system, please raise your hand or make a motion in front of your camera to keep that you want to ask something or a point of order. Or as well, those of you that are joining by phone, if you press *9, that will raise a hand on the system here. And then I can acknowledge that it's your turn to speak, and then you press *6 to unmute your microphone. All of you, the rest of the persons on the Zoom, I ask that when I acknowledge your turn to speak, that you please unmute at that time. We'll ask you to unmute, and then we will mute it back when your question or point has been made. We ask for this evening, we're gonna take questions at the end with the exception of the education presentation because we only have the director here for that part of the meeting. And then the rest of the question and answers will go to the end of the meeting. I know this is not ideal, but so please write down your questions at home and note down the questions you want to ask. We do have a question and answer period at the end or other items that you want to discuss. We will make a list of items that have been raised that we can't answer this evening and do as a follow-up for the next general meeting, which will be next month again on the Zoom system, and we will report back then at that time. So that is the rules of order for this evening's general meeting. I and Shannon Rompoint, who's part of our communications department, are moderators for this session, so she'll be assisting with unmuting and muting people, as well as with some of the PowerPoint presentations that we have. Also, those of you who are just joining us, we shared on our MCA Facebook page the links for the material. We'll see the material on the computer here tonight, but they are available on our website now. That went up this afternoon at akwesasne.ca. You can find the link within our Facebook page. So. All right, so we're going to move along. Our first item, which is the follow-up from the last general meeting. So we're just reporting for the record that there were no follow-up items from the general meeting. There was 2 questions that we got late at the last on July 30th that we didn't answer on the Zoom. We will answer them tonight. We have got some other questions that came in on email. They came in late. We will not be able to answer those. We will carry them over to the next general meeting. So just so you're aware. So now I'm going to take through a couple of slides on the with respect to the pandemic response from the MCA. I'll stop through a little bit of that, and then we'll turn it over to the Director of Education, who will then provide an update using the Zoom system and a PowerPoint presentation as well on the COVID response. So, all right. So this is our presentation that we will go through here. Hopefully you can see that all right. Again, if you're not able to and you're just listening in, this is available. The links are on our Facebook page and are on our MCA website at akwesasne.ca. The links for all of this material that we'll be sharing tonight if you're not able to see it this evening, or you want to read a bit more into it after the meeting, that all this material is available. So we're going to, again, the agenda is the pandemic response, the AMBI resumption plan, the Waterways Committee will provide an update, and the community questions and answer. So just the overall response, which we provided more detail last month, but we just want to give an update, some of the things that have happened since. So the pandemic, the council has been focused solely on the MCA's pandemic response since the state of emergency, which was declared on March 16th. A full chronology of MCA's pandemic response was shared at last month's general meeting. Council meetings slowly began to resume on a weekly basis and at May 4th. So you may or may not know, our council meets traditionally has always met on Monday mornings. We now meet on Monday mornings using this same system here that we're using. So a council, along with representatives of the Southern Mohawk tribe and the Mohawk Nation, continue to participate in weekly border updates, which is a meeting between CBSA and USCBP, and that's done virtually, just to dialogue on current issues, receive updates from the customs. The latest update is that the border will remain closed until September 21st, but this date is subject to extension. And again, I think we're on the 5th extension thereabouts since the closure in March. So council continues to participate weekly in a COVID update meeting with the executive director and representatives of Emergency Operations Center. So that occurs on Wednesday mornings. All of our council meets on Wednesday mornings with the executive and the emergency operations to receive updates and dialogue on the current pandemic response. Also, we have a weekly update meeting held between our council and the Southern Mohawk Tribal Chiefs on Friday mornings. Every Friday, we continue to meet with them as part of our pandemic response in the global pandemic that we're dealing with in and around our community. So the Akwesasne curfew law was passed on April 13th as a health and safety measure to provide directives to our community members. On June 29th, that law was amended to change to curfew hours from, they went from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And that's currently where they're at right now. The Akwesasne emergency curfew law on August 10th, the law was further amended to clarify that self-quarantine for 14 days is required for persons who travel beyond the 80 miles or 80 kilometers, 50 miles for non-essential purposes. So there's a provision in there for if you have to be outside of that area. And then subsequently this week, it was amended again. The law was amended again to increase the travel radius to 160 kilometers or 100 miles. But it does exclude the city of Montreal except for, again, essential purposes. And that's because the cases in Montreal are considerably higher than all cases in all other areas within surrounding our community. So just a little map that shows that approximate of 160 kilometers or 100 miles. You know, let's not focus on exactly where that line is. It's really about you shouldn't be traveling too far from the community, not heading down south to Florida or any other places, because if you do, you need to be quarantining when you come back. So really that's what that represents, is we need to take care and take all precautions for ourselves and our families to keep us all safe. So the MCA departments have supplied the following information. Members of council are going to assist me with that and going through that. But before we go into the update that members of council will assist me with, I'm going to now ask the director of the Akwesasne Mohawk Board of Education, Donna Lahash, if she could now provide us with an update on the opening of the schools and the school system here in the Mohawk, in the community of Akwesasne. So. You'll have to unmute yourself there, Donna.
Saigon. I'm going to provide a little bit of an update. We had a parent meeting last week on Zoom. We had about 75 parents that attended to give them an update. We also have a link to that update, which is more details specific towards the AMBI schools. In this presentation, I'll give you some updates about the AMBI schools, as well as the post-secondary programs and our daycare. So our goal at AMBI is to provide safe and healthy school environment for students, teachers, and staff. We strive to provide high quality education for all of our students while keeping their health and safety at the forefront of all of our decisions. AMBI schools will reopen with 2 styles of teaching and instruction. The first one will be a hybrid model, and this will allow us to have smaller class sizes. These students would come into the school for 2 days of instruction, and they would receive 2 days of remote learning. So on Monday, Tuesday, we have one group that's in the school receiving instruction, and the same group is Thursday, Friday online. Second group is Thursday, Friday in school, but Monday, Tuesday online. We've designated Wednesdays for a more thorough cleaning day and preparation day for packages and distribution and testing. Parents who choose not to send their children into the school will receive 4 days of remote instruction. They will be required to log on to lessons for 3 to 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, but these times will vary depending on the grade level of the student. We are continually following the direction of Mohawk Council of Akwesasne Health Unit and the recommendation of the Eastern Ontario Health. We have screening protocols that are put in place. We'll have daily screening for all students and staff who enter the building. Any student or staff who have a fever of 38 or 100.4 will be refused entry into the school or center. Students who utilize transportation will have their temperature checked prior to boarding the bus. If they have a temperature of over 38 or 104, they will not be allowed to get on the bus. Students who are driven to school will have to have their temperature checked before their parents leave the premises. Masks. So all students will be required to wear masks while riding the bus. Parents and guardians must provide their children with a storage container for their child's mask. Staff will be required to wear masks all day. Students in K4 to grade 3 will be encouraged to wear masks in the school. However, they will not be required. Students in grades 4 to 8 will be required to wear masks indoors in school during most of their classes and in the hallways. There will be opportunities for breaks from the mask. This is a shield we purchased in blue for our little ones because one of the recommendations from health was that because of the motor skills of students below the grade 4 level, it's very difficult for them to put their mask on and off on their own. So we purchased these hats to provide for students in K4 to grade 3, so that they'll all have a hat at the school to be able to wear, because the shield does provide a layer of protection. So these will be provided. Cohorts. One of the things that we're doing is keeping our students in small cohorts during the day with limited exposure to other students. With this is in place so that we can aid in contact tracing if necessary. Distancing. Movement within the schools will be limited as much as possible. We're trying to keep the teachers moving to the classrooms and keeping the students within the same classroom so that they're set up at their same spot with all of their materials. Each school will provide as much distancing as possible. These were also purchased. These are dividers that go on the tables and the desks so that it provides a level of protection for the student and gives an opportunity to have a break from the mask. Visitors. Schools have been asked to limit or prohibit visitors from entering the school, including parents. Our plan is to try to provide some videos so that we're able to show parents what's happening in the school during the day and send those directly to a parent's email. If you are dropping off your child or picking up your child outside of the regular arrival or dismissal, you must call ahead and wait for someone to come out and greet you. All visitors on school grounds, including bus loading and unloading zones, are required to wear a mask. Chromebooks. We will be providing Chromebooks for all students from K5 to grade 8 to support their learning. These will be provided for both the hybrid and the full online learning model so that students can make use of those. Transportation. Transportation poses many more challenges because of the number of students on buses. Because of the hybrid model, we're able to limit the number of students on any given day. So we will be taking temperatures of students before they board the bus. We do realize that temperature is not like a sole indicator of COVID or that it means COVID. Temperature is just one of the screening methods that's been encouraged by all of the medical professionals that have been consulted. So this is a way for us to at least eliminate anybody that's ill coming into the school. We're going to be turning the child away from boarding the bus. However, we will be having follow-up calls from the school counselor so that we can ensure that there's a follow-up that's happening and that we can provide some advice and direction for the families. All students will be required to wear a mask on the bus. Social distancing will be practiced on the bus. We are going to be having only one child per seat unless they're in the same family. So in order to shorten the length of time, and this one's really important, we're not doing inter-district bus transportation to AMS and SNI school. Both AMS and SNI school have grades 7 and 8. Ganadago school, because it's our immersion school, there will be inter-district transport because we have students coming from the island, we have students coming from Jasnaina, we have students in Ganadago. So that bus will run inter-district. The other buses, we're asking that parents who might have had their children at AMS for grade 7 or 8, now we have 7 and 8 in SNI to have their child attend there. If a student is full remote, then they could stay with their cohort full remote at AMS because there won't be a transportation issue. Parent also has the option of transporting their child if they feel strongly about sending them to a school outside of that district. Bus passes will not be accepted. We need to be consistent with the pick up and drop off points. These are some important dates. Our commitment forms were due actually on August 26th. However, we still have not received all of them, and we did a robocall today to try to get the additional commitment forms. We had received about 320 commitment forms. We still have about 300 commitment forms we have not received. September 1, the staff returned to the schools. September 8th to the 18th, we have student testing by appointment, and this is a focus on the remote learners because they will not be physically in school. We need to do some of the assessments for literacy and math. September 21st will be the official first day of school for AMBI. Keep in mind that these are all dates that we have set, but should anything arise within the community or surrounding area, some of these dates will have to be adjusted. I don't know if everybody's aware, but there's been dates adjusted within the surrounding school boards. Upper Canada just made an announcement today and has pushed their date as well. So post-secondary program, our post-secondary support program, we have 302 full-time students, 26 part-time students, 122 full-time students attending a Canadian institute, 148 full-time attending an American institute, and 32 full-time attending Yohahio Akwesasne Education and Training Institute. So the adjustments that were made for COVID-19, we introduced an online application via Google Forms. We've walked several students through the process of filling out that form electronically. We received 127 applications on Google Forms. So that was great considering that it was just introduced. They were available to meet via Zoom and Google Meet with students while the office was closed. And then we're also moving towards the EFT payments. Currently, we have over 75% of the students that are receiving funds by EFT. And so we still have other forms that students are submitting, and we're moving them as well into the electronic payments. At Yohahio, our training institute is now open for students. All safety protocols have been implemented, and they are ready to begin programming. For the fall 20, classes at Yohahio will be in class on site beginning Tuesday, September 8th. However, all instructors will train students to adapt to online if necessary. Beginning Tuesday, September 8th, hours will be Monday to Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m., Friday, 7 to 4 p.m. Their current hours are 7 to 4 p.m. Their fall courses include Early Childhood Development Diploma. They have 16 students currently enrolled in that program, and they're partnering with St. Lawrence College. They also have the Pathways to Indigenous Empowerment program, and they have 10 students partnering with Algonquin College. They all continuing in the fall is the Gas Tech program, 10 students, and that is a partnership with Algonquin College. They have a new course coming in the winter 21. It's carpentry and renovation techniques, and they have 12 students registered, and they're partnering with Algonquin College for this. For childcare, we're operating with condensed hours, 8 to 4 p.m. through September. We are closed on Wednesdays, the same as the AMBI schools, for extra cleaning. For September, we're asking parents to bring children to the doors to drop off and pick up for screening, which will assist with the ratios at the beginning and the end of the day. The childcare program will be running at half capacity in September, which is an enrollment of 41 children across 3 centers. We anticipate this will fill up quickly with the closure of Head Start. We will provide regular updates to families on any changes. Childcare was our first program that opened and they did slow intake of reaching out to their families who were already accessing the service and bringing those children in on a slow basis in order to keep the cohort small and to get the staff accustomed to the new working conditions. There is priority enrollment, and it works as follows. Previously enrolled children with parents working or students will be given priority. Transfers from other centers with working parents. Any new children will be based on working parents or parents that are attending school full-time. The province moved into a regular capacity childcare for September. However, we are remaining at half capacity for safety and as per local medical officer of health recommendation. We will assess at the end of September how things are progressing and make decisions as to whether we can add and increase those numbers. Our 0 to 6 program is offering remote sessions through Zoom, and we'll be offering sessions outdoors in person in September. Their programs are advertised on the MCA's email, Facebook page, and their Instagram page. This is just a little diagram. These are the cohorts. We have an infant room, and our ratio will be 6 to 2, so the max students in that infant room will be 6. In the toddler room, 10. In the preschool room, 16 is the max. And in the transition preschool room will be 8 as a max. The infant room at Ganadago, 10 as a max. Toddler room will also be 10 as a max. Toddler room in Snai, 10, and 16 in the preschool room. So those are our max numbers. Monitoring and responding to reports of COVID-19 symptoms. So if we have any sick students or staff, if students become sick at school, they will be placed in an isolation room and monitored. We've designated rooms within each of the sites, including Yohahio, that someone can be placed in until they can either be picked up or they can leave to go home. Parents will be required to pick up their children. Symptoms will be tracked and a report will be sent to community health. Staff who become ill during the day should immediately inform their supervisors so that arrangements can be made for that staff member to leave. If we have a suspected case, it's important to remind everyone that AMBI upholds strict confidentiality with confirmed or suspected cases in our workplace. This falls under our oath of confidentiality. If staff or students have any COVID-19 symptoms, they should stay home and call their physician and seek immediate care. If there is a confirmed case, there will be contact tracing protocols will immediately go into effect, notifying anybody who may have been potentially exposed to get tested. The classroom will be cleaned and sanitized and ventilated. Cases will only be confirmed from community health or EOHU. We will follow their guidance and recommendations for contact tracing, isolation, quarantine, and potential closure. If a full closure is warranted, all students will transition to remote learning. If a student is at home quarantined and is feeling well, they could join on online classes. Cleaning, routine cleaning will be done by maintenance staff throughout the day and after school. Bathrooms and horizontal surfaces will be wiped down and disinfected frequently. High traffic areas will be cleaned regularly throughout the day. Enhanced sanitizing procedures will be completed in the schools when students are not in the building. And this will be taking place at the end of the day, early in the morning, and on the Wednesdays. Keeping track, schools will keep records of daily attendance in school and online, daily seating charts, daily bus seating chart, daily visitors log and screening, daily bathroom sign out log for each class, maintenance cleaning logs, employee and student COVID-19 screening. Now, that's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Donna, for that. Are there any questions from members of the community that are on the Zoom system? If you're on the phone, I ask you to please press *6 to unmute. If you are on the Zoom, if you could raise your hand or unmute yourself, and then we can answer the question that you may have. Vince, I see you have your raising your hand there.
I just want a more clarification on all these. I know it's small groups, but how exactly the cohorts are going to be functioning. Like a lot of people probably don't realize what a cohort is.
So basically, we are getting commitment forms from parents as to whether they want full remote or this hybrid model. The hybrid makes students come to school 2 days a week only, and the other 2 days they're online. So once we have all the commitment forms, we'll be dividing the groups in half so that we don't have all of the groups in at one time. So we'll have like by family as well, because we don't want to split up the families so that parents don't have to send one of their children to school on Monday, Tuesday, and another one on Thursday, Friday. So we're going to try to keep it where families are all in on the same 2 days. None of the classes will exceed 11 students max. Most of the classes will be 6 to 7 students. So we do have some classes that were big, that were 28 students. So those classes won't exceed 11 students. That so far in the planning that we're doing, our biggest group was 11. And most of the classes were around 6 children in a class. So the cohort is the children assigned to that class.
Okay, so in other words, the teachers will be traveling to the students instead of the students traveling to the teachers within the classrooms?
Right, so their Mohawk class, for example, so the grade 1 children that are in the class with their teacher, instead of going to the Mohawk room, the Mohawk teacher will come into that room, so they'll remain at their same seats, because otherwise you might have had, in a day, you could have had 80 children sitting at the same seats in the Mohawk room. So this way they keep their own spaces.
Okay, okay, no.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions for Donna in relation to the education system here in the reopening? Okay, I don't see any, so I do want to thank you, Donna, for joining us this evening and providing us with the valuable information that's needed for the parents as we move towards opening the schools.
Okay, and we'll continue to post things on the webpage so that there's updates as anything occurs or changes, or we're hoping that if everything goes really well, we'll be able to increase those days as we move forward, but we also might have to pull back to remote.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Anna.
Anna. All right, so we're going to move along on our presentation this evening. I'm going to bring back up the other PowerPoint presentation that we had here. Just bear with me. Can you see this slide all right? Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask Chief Vanessa, if you could unmute yourself and we'll walk through the first few slides.
Okay. The Gunaguatsalia Health Facility is now open to the community for services by appointment only. Please note that upon entry to the building, you will be screened at the front door, and if for any reason you do not pass the screening, you will not be allowed to enter the facility and will be directed to phone community health program. Masks are required to enter the facility, but if you do not have a mask, let the screener know and one will be provided for you. The safety of the community and the employees are paramount. Please be patient through the screening process as there may be a lineup. Be respectful and maintain physical distancing of 6 feet or 2 meters. Please limit your movement also within the building to your scheduled appointment destinations only. MCA's Director of Health, Keith LeClaire, routinely participates in meetings with Dr. Paul, the Medical Officer for the Health for the Eastern Ontario Health Unit. Information regarding any changes that may affect our service delivery in any areas of health is provided during these meetings. We are working with MCA's EOC to update resumption plans submitted by Department of Health programs. For any concerns about healthcare, please contact 613-575-2341. Cindy Francis Mitchell, Assistant Director of Health at extension 3301. Or Tessa Jocko, Health Accreditation Manager at extension 3316. Our immunization and diabetes education programs and our Quebec Health and smoking cessation services continue to operate. Please call prior to coming into the building. Many of our appointments remain virtual and or by phone. In-office appointments are scheduled on a case-by-case basis. For scheduled appointments, please arrive at your scheduled time. Wait in your vehicle in the pre-arranged spot. Wear your mask. Staff will meet you outside, and if needed, will escort you into the building. Please expect to be screened prior to entry to the facility. Assessment and testing for COVID-19. If you have any questions or are seeking information regarding COVID-19, please call the Community Health Program at 613-575-2341, extension 3220, and ask to speak to a nurse. Due to the volume of calls, you may be asked to leave your name and number for one of the nurses to return your call. Wait times may be long, depending on the number of incoming calls. Staff may be needed to return your call the following day as well. Your patience is greatly appreciated. When the nurse returns your call, they will assist you with any questions or will provide an assessment. Please be aware that the assessment process can take up to 30 minutes. If testing is indicated or requested, staff will assist with scheduling or may refer you to an alternate location based on the availability of the next appointment and what's more convenient for the community member. As every situation and every community member is unique, please be mindful that the process may vary with each call. When results come into the community health program, the community member will be phoned directly and follow-up will take place as needed. Due to the number of tests being processed, results may take 3 to 4 days, excluding weekends and holidays. Privacy and confidentiality are utmost important. Your information will not be shared with anyone without prior consent. All patients and employees are screened every day. Everyone wears a mask in public spaces. Medical staff wear additional PPE. Staff wash their hands frequently before and after all patient interactions. Hand sanitizer is available. All counseling and exam rooms are cleaned before and after each appointment. Everyone stays 6 feet or 2 meters apart, except when closeness is necessary for medical treatment. Virtual visits are available. Please call 613-575-2341, extension 3215 for more information. For physiotherapy assessments, they are available at CIA number 3. Please call 613-575-2341, extension 1067. Mental health and addiction, on-site services are by appointment only. Please call 613-575-2341, extension 3115. Prevention services consists of virtual programming at this time. Traditional medicine will provide assessments and services over the phone. Medicine delivery for existing clients can be scheduled by calling 613-575-2341, extension 3100. Traditional medicine healing sessions are currently on hold. On-site services at the Akwesasne Medical Clinic now include appointments as deemed necessary by your provider and blood work by appointment each Wednesday. Please call 613-575-2341, extension 3215. On-site services are available at the Gawanoga Medical Clinic. They now include appointments as deemed necessary by your provider and blood work by appointment each Wednesday, and immunization for children on Fridays. For appointments, please call 613-932-5808. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. I'll now ask Chief Toby to please unmute and take us through the next few slides.
Okay, for non-insured health benefits, the ANIHB program remains operational, but we are not seeing community members in our office at this time. ANIHB has extended coverage of unregistered infants up to 24 months of age. Dental prior approvals that expired during the pandemic are being extended until December 20th, 2020. The priority for medical transportation are dialysis patients. Additional requests are approved based on driver availability. Clients will be screened prior to entering the vehicle, and there is a maximum of 2 clients in each vehicle. All vehicles are equipped with plexiglass barriers for the protection of passengers and drivers, and all vehicles are cleaned and sanitized after each transport. To access services, to maintain safety, community members are encouraged to contact the ANIHB program through telephone or email. Curbside service is available by appointment only for forms and signatures. The forms can be found on MCA's website at www.akwesasne.ca/health/non-insured-health-benefits and another backslash. If you have any questions, please call 613-575-2341 extension 3340. For home care, home support, the program continues to provide services to the community. All staff have their temperatures taken daily and complete a health screening prior to any client visits. In providing quality services to community members while limiting the risk of exposure to COVID-19, the home care nurses are required to wear full PPE, including a gown, gloves, surgical masks, and a face shield when they meet with clients. All new clients will be contacted by phone prior to their appointment to review the health and safety protocols for the visit. The home care home support program follows the healthcare guidelines and directives being released by the Eastern Ontario Health Unit to ensure the safety of community members being served. If you have questions for the home care home support program, call 613-575-2341, extension 1066 or extension 1067. For Junkwanusade and Yakisuta, the visits to MCA's long-term care homes have resumed with the following guidelines in place to protect the health of our residents from the spread of COVID-19. All visitors must undergo a screening process before visiting. All visits must be booked by an appointment. Visits will take place in outdoor tents and social distancing must be adhered to. Visits will resume in phases per guidelines of the Ministry of Long-Term Care. Phase 1 permits 1 visit per resident per week, and then visits will gradually increase. Families or power of attorneys must coordinate independently to determine who in the family will visit per week. Visits in phase 1 will be 40 minutes long. Please do not arrive more than 5 minutes earlier than your scheduled time to prevent interaction with other visitors. We anticipate going into phase 2A, which includes the indoor visits starting August 31st. Additional protocols have been implemented to ensure a safe yet enjoyable visit. We want to assure the community that restrictions are in place for the protection of your family members, the residents, who everyone cares deeply for. If you have any questions, please contact Activity Director Teresa David at Junkwanusade at 613-932-1409, extension 3. For Yakisuta, contact Activity Supervisor Sue Smoke, 613-575-2507, extension 3. The Akwesasne Mohawk ambulance services remain operational and all calls will be screened. For emergencies, please continue to call Central Dispatch at 613-575-2000 and please be prepared for screening questions. For health facility providers, each health facility provider presented a resumption plan prior to reopening, and we ask community members to respect their guidelines, which are part of the professional mandates in order to remain open while ensuring that the health and safety of our community members is of the utmost priority. For Dr. Danielle Dubec, optometry has begun to resume services to clients for scheduled appointments. Please call 613-575-2341, extension 3131. A staff member will escort you to your appointment. For Proxim Pharmacy, the pharmacy is operational but is not open to the public. The pharmacy staff will provide curbside service and they can be reached at 613-575-2341, extension 3250. Akwesasne Dental Clinic. The dental clinic has begun to resume services to clients for scheduled appointments. Please call 613-575-2341, extension 3209. A staff member will escort you to your appointment. Yawa.
Thank you, Toby, for that. I'll ask Carolyn to help us walk through the next set of slides.
Department of Community and Social Services. All Department of Community and Social Services, DCSS, are status quo with the exception of IATC. Yungwano Society Adolescent Treatment Center, IATC, services are suspended. Akwesasne Child and Family Services, ACFS, are ongoing and meetings are conducted out in the field. DCSS update, community support program. Current changes in services due to the pandemic. CSP has remained open as an essential service. Intake applications are only taken over the phone to immediately assess need and provide basic needs and shelter costs or other needed services, but in some instances, home visit intake applications can be done. In-office appointments and drop-ins are not permitted until further notice. Submission of most required documentation suspended until after case manager contacts client for follow-up. Clients can electronically scan documents to CSP if able to, and as needed or requested to csp@akwesasne.ca. All education, employment, and training activity is on hold until Yohahio and Access resume their service delivery. DCSS update and community support program continued. Client monthly checks are hand-delivered to client mailboxes each month to ensure individuals and families get them on time due to pandemic disruptions for Canada Post mail delivery. CSP case managers will do home visits, but only as necessary and under strict social distancing protocols and guidelines. In some instances, immediate emergency assistance can be provided by CSP and referrals can be made to ACFS for families as needed. The front main southern entrance of Gunaguatsaleo Health Facility is a drop-off for client documents if the client chooses or is requested to do so by CSP staff. Call CSP DCSS at 613-575-2341, extension 3262 for answers to any inquiries you may have, or you can email csp@akwesasne.ca. All clients accessing our residential wellness program will have their own individual unit for themselves or family and are not required to live with others in the communal setting due to the pandemic. Oh, sorry, this is the Akwesasne Family Wellness Program. All clients accessing our residential services will be required to complete a health screening and to quarantine for 14 days upon entry. All services and basic needs will be met during the quarantine period. Masks, hand washing, and social distancing is required when meeting with staff or other clients. All clients will have individualized care plans based on their identified needs. Educational groups are taking place with precautions practiced by everyone. Please call 613-937-4322 to speak to a counselor to access individual or group counseling services. The program can provide virtual services for individuals and groups for those who are not able to participate in person.
Thank you, Carolyn, for walking us through the DCSS. I'm now going to ask Daryl if he could take us through the next few slides.
Department of Infrastructure and Housing update. There are limited program changes within the Department of Infrastructure and Housing, DIH, due to the pandemic. Capital projects are still underway. Administrative building, number 2, demolition, 600 meters of Wade LaFrance Memorial Road resurfacing, water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant upgrades with protective protocols in place to ensure safety of all workers and community members. Access to buildings is limited to appointments with the designated service sector, housing environment. Routine maintenance of MCA owned buildings and roads is continued on a limited basis due to travel constraints of service providers. DIH update, housing sector. Housing is now located at CIA 3 on Cornwall Island. No program changes due to pandemic. Some services are offered by phone and or email. Community members coming to the building must have an appointment, wear masks, and follow health guidelines. Housing contacts 613-575-2250. Housing Loan Service Manager extension 1051. Rental and loan payment extensions 1052. Tenant and Maintenance Manager extension 1057. Home Inspections extension 1055. DIH update, environment sector. The MCA Environment Program continues to deliver services in an adjusted manner due to COVID-19. Services available, environmental assessments, conservation response, research and innovation projects. Contact information, Abram Francis at Environment Program Manager. His email is abram.francis@akwesasne.ca. His phone number is 613-360-8656.
Thank you, Daryl. Julie, if you'll help us walk through the next few slides.
Sure can. So the Akwesasne Board of Education update, the administration office, all meetings are virtual. It's recommended that the community members call ahead to schedule an appointment as employee hours vary for in-person. Ambi Head Start is not available for the 2021 school year. We are working closely with 0 to 6 to provide resources and activities for families. Services are available by phone, email, and in person, but socially distanced. You must have a mask for in-person service and follow the Ambi website and Facebook page for regular updates. The Akwesasne Mohawk Police Service update, no program changes due to the pandemic. Services that were altered are now available to the community. For example, the CPIC, a copy of a report, etc. The community members coming to station must be wearing a face mask and follow health guidelines. Some services may be offered by phone. Please consult the website or Facebook page as some required information may be found there. The Akwesasne Justice Department, safety protocols are strictly followed. Masks are required in the building. Social distancing of 2 meters, 6 feet. Currently, all services, boating licenses, legal services, etc., are available by appointment only. Contact information, you call 613-575-2250, extension 2400, or email iris.lafrance@akwesasne.ca. The Community Justice Program, staff and clients contact is via phone, text, and Community Justice Facebook page, or outside by appointment. All services continue by phone and Zoom, and you can email communityjustice@akwesasne.ca.
All right, thank you very much. Connie, we're gonna go to you for the next 2 slides.
Sure. You can.
Economic Development. Their new location is at the Peachtree Mall Trade Center, Unit 3 in Gowanoga. Services available include business registration, small business grants, training, Akwesasne Economic Development Fund, tobacco permits, and cannabis applications. The arena is closed until further notice. Thompson Island Cultural Camp closed for the season to the public. Appointment only, no walk-ins permitted. Phone, email, and Zoom are available. Curbside pickup is available for transactions of paperwork if unable to do so electronically. Contact information, phone 613-575-2250, extension 1802, or email tisha.rourke@akwesasne.ca. Department of Finance and Administration update. The Finance Office has moved to the Administration Building number 4, where housing used to be located in Gowanoga, and all payments transactions will be handled at the front window. Community members who need to enter the building will require an appointment. Everybody entering the building is subject to COVID-19 screening. Employment applications are to be submitted to the MCA Human Resources, HR, through email to jobs@akwesasne.ca. All HR inquiries, appointments must be scheduled in advance. Masks must be worn at all times during interviews.
Okay, thank you. Tim, I'm going to ask you to walk us through the last slides that we have.
Okay.
Yep.
Executive services update. Donation requests are being processed. Akwesasne Community Fund is currently on hold, and complaints are being processed as they arise. For staffing, office is fully staffed. Access, call ahead to have your request responded to over the phone, or by making an appointment for documentation to be picked up or dropped off. Social distance protocols are in place, and all visitors are required to wear a mask and use the provided hand sanitizers upon arriving and departure. Programs remain, for Mohawk Government, programs remain closed to the public. All requests are being taken over the phone at 613-575-2250, extension 2200, or by email mohawkgovernment@akwesasne.ca. Appointments for meetings with council members must be arranged by phone, and meetings will be held virtually or by phone. Residency letters are being coordinated over the phone, and pick up and drop off documents in support of your application will be arranged. Quebec liaison support can be accessed by phone or email only. Call ahead to have your requests respond to over the phone, or arrangements for documents to be picked up or dropped off. Social distance protocols are in place and require all visitors to wear a mask, use the provided hand sanitizers upon arrival and before departure. Aboriginal Rights and Research Office is currently staffed and available by appointment. For Indian Day School forums, they are online at indiandayschools.com/English documents. Office may be reached at 613-575-2250, extension 2206, or by email at arrow@akwesasne.ca. Nation building update. Currently, there are no working tables engaged except for the technical review of and the Wadutari self-government agreement. Entry door locked. The entry door is locked, and signage is, what's that say?
Entry door locked and signage on COVID-19 displayed.
Okay. Staff are separated by 2 meters, 6 feet or more. Contact staff by phone or email, and you can connect with them by Zoom. OVS update. All services are available during regular business hours, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Appointments are necessary. No walk-ins are allowed. Services are provided by phone, email. I'm blocked there, so. Oh, I can move that over here. Okay, sorry. Okay, services by phone, email, or regular mail, whenever possible. Curbside service is provided for all transactions that require in-person visits, and you can contact the OVS office at 613-936-1548 to schedule an appointment.
Thank you, Tim.
It is my pleasure this afternoon to present to you.
Thank you. All right, so that is the update from the MCA and administration. We wanted to make sure that the community is aware of what services, what the services delivery models are right now, how to be able to access those services. If you have any questions, whether or not they are available, hopefully we have covered that. So we're going to now we're going to now go to the Waterways Committee. So there was a committee of council that was formed sometime a few months ago in response to some of the happenings that have been happening on the St. Lawrence River. Council identified a committee of council to examine some of the challenges that are being faced and some of the solutions that may be available for that. So I'm going to bring up the presentation here, or sorry, we got it there, thank you. We'll turn it over to the speakers. I don't have a list of who's going to be doing the speaking, but I will please identify yourself, and Shannon will be assisting with the PowerPoint here.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. This is Chief Connie Lazar. As Grand Chief mentioned, Council had been receiving numerous concerns with regards to issues in our waters, whether it was speeders on sea-doos and people swimming, too many watercrafts in the area, unsafe everything, I guess we could say. So on July 6th, we brought it to Council's table, and that's where we established a working task group of chiefs to work on this specifically to deal with those concerns. As of July 15th to today, August 27th, we've had 12 meetings. We've been working diligently on trying to come up with ways and to implement action on what we hope will start to get people to recognize the concerns out there and to look at our waters and be respectful of the waterways, the people in it, and our community at large.
Connie,
So,
I'm just going to have to stop you there really quickly. You or the next presenters will have to acknowledge when you want the slide to change so that we can change it.
We have that.
Okay.
So if we can go to next now. So what I was going to do next was introduce our committee members. That consists of Chief Vanessa Adams, Chief April Adams Phillips, Chief Carolyn Francis, Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs, Wahesa Lazar from Communications Unit, and also our Executive Assistant Kyra Shosi, who has been working with our group to ensure that what we want done is being recorded and we have follow-up, and we truly appreciate the work of these individuals. The responsibilities that we had brought to the table was for us to address all the waterway safety and the issues that community members have brought forward, which includes the enforcement of the laws. And we've gone through the council laws, bylaws, community laws, MCRs, and we found the no wake zone. We found a curfew, the new emergency curfew law, the intoxicants bylaw, the Small Vessels Act, and the trespass law that's in the Indian Act. We had worked with the executive director and purchased signs that indicate no wake zones, and to ensure things were happening, the committee itself went out there and met with community members to install these signs and to, again, engage in discussions with the community and what they felt, and they were very appreciative that signs were actually going up now and council was hearing their concerns. Next.
Good evening, Chief Vanessa Adams. This is a pamphlet that was developed based on community concerns and to enhance safety in Akwesasne. This contains valuable information for voters and for all who enjoy our waterways. This pamphlet will be mailed out to all of our community members and made available at local marinas for non-residents as well. We would like to thank Wahesla Azor for her design and contribution to this valuable resource. So it will be in your mailbox soon. Next. This is the rest of the information that this pamphlet contains. And like we said, it is a valuable resource and contains some important information about COVID-19 as well. Thank you. Next.
Chief Carolyn Francis here to talk about the signs in the Gisnina channel. Since this was the one area that there's a lot of children that swim there, and there was a lot of concern of boats going through there very fast, and it was just being hazardous, and it was a matter of time before someone got hurt. So we stepped up, and as Chief Connie mentioned, we had the slow no wake zone signs put up. There was 10 of them that were put up, and I'll show you a map on the next slide when we get to it, where those signs are. We also have 10 new caution signs that will also be put up, and that's caution for swimmers and kayakers, just to make people aware that there's children out there, there's people enjoying the waters that may not be in a motorized boat. These are ready to be put up in the Snai Channel and different areas in the waterways. The other one is in discussion. This is something that we have been talking about, of whether or not we're going to have the Snai Channel specifically for our residents only. Non-residents that come to access the marinas, they can go in through the other part of the St. Lawrence, go get their gas, and then leave. They don't need to be going down the Snai Channel and making large wakes. Okay, next. So this is the map of where the signs went up, and I know that they're not all on there. The Snai Channel, you could see where Marvin LaFrance put up a sign, and it goes all the way down. The one little icon with a swimmer on it, that's where the caution signs will be put up. So it goes all the way down, and then I don't even know how to see Marsh. There's a couple more signs that aren't noted on this map, but they are down that way. And then if you look at St. Ridge's Point, there'll be a couple of caution signs there on Yellow Island, on St. Ridge's Island at the beach area, and then at the end of St. Ridge's Island. If anybody has any suggestions or comments in regards to these signs, you can contact one of the members. I know the signs aren't as large, and we noticed that, so we are ordering, I can't remember what size, 4x6 or 4x8 signs to be put at the beginning of Yellow Island and then toward the end of the Snai Channel area. Next. So the social distancing when boating, this is a poster that was designed to be distributed at the marinas as reminders regarding the pandemic, and for boaters that are coming in from in and out of the marinas, just a reminder. And the slow no wake zone sign right there, that's an example of one of the signs that was put up hastily. She put it up on her dock. She was very excited to have it put up. for that area, we're going to have one of the 4x6 signs put up on her billboard. But that's just to give you an example of what the sign looks like. Next. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Chief Julie Phillips Jacobs here. A few times we've talked about already the laws that are within Akwesasne that we researched and we found that would apply to our waterways. It's going to be it's listed in the pamphlet for others to see. It'll be later on. You'll see it during our video that we'll be presenting. So the laws were the curfew law, the intoxicant bylaw, and we know that some of these laws are older, some of them are new. So, you know, we just wanted to take a look at them to see what applied, what was still in the books, and what still needs to be worked on in the future to bring them up to par so that it's easier for our police to enforce them. Next. No wake zone. We found that MCR from 1999-2000, and it talks about the fines and what it is and why there shouldn't be any wake in the Sny Channel, especially. No fishing permits. So during the state of emergency, we have decided that there would be no fishing permits distributed to non-community members, as that then gives them permission to be in our waters, and we didn't want that.
Yeah.
Next. The Small Vessels Act, MCR, which was 2002 to 2003, and that one was, you know, something that we thought that our police should be using in order to help keep our waters safe. Trespassing in the Indian Act, it does say that, you know, any person who trespasses on a reserve is guilty of an offense and liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $50 or imprisonment. And I just wanted to mention there that in our waters, we noticed in the last few weeks that community members took it upon themselves to put no trespassing signs up around Yellow Island. We would really like to thank them for doing that. We cannot tackle this ourselves, and we believe that it has to be a group effort from the community in order to make sure that our community is safe. What we did too is we went and we had a meeting with the police commission a few weeks ago, and we wanted to bring our concerns that we had heard when we were out putting up signs and stuff. We wanted to bring that to the attention of the commission. We wanted to bring, you know, kind of the research we had done on the laws that we had found, to find out what problems there are within these laws so that we're aware of what needs to be fixed and what needs to be updated so that they're easier to apply. We had the police commission, and they brought in the chief of police, and he explained and the staff sergeant, that he explained that our laws are applicable and they do apply them, but there's a lot of safety issues, as there is on land, in the waters. They can't be chasing boats, sea-doos, boats, everything in the waters, as that causes more of a hazard in the waters. So, we really need the help of the community to just abide by it. Be safe. That's the main purpose of our little group here, is to bring safety and to make sure that our water is safe for everyone. We had next we have the Waterways Guide video. We'd like to thank JC Hall from our Environment Department for doing the drone footage. It's beautiful. We'd like to thank Waheso for putting it together and making it, putting everything together so nicely and with her expertise. And of course, our very own Chief Carolyn for doing the narration for us. So enjoy our video, and we'll see you in a minute. Shannon,
We're not getting any sound, Shannon. Okay.
And
There
respectfully.
we go.
Ganyadalis, also known as the St. Lawrence River, has played an important role in the history and development of Akwesasne. It's an area that connects us all. Let's enjoy it safely, responsibly, and respectfully. Entering Akwesasne waters means being respectful of Akwesasne laws. View our laws like the Small Vessels Act and No Wake Zone at www.akwesasne.ca under the History and Resources tab. Please note that fishing on our territory has been restricted to community members only. Speaking of laws, the MCA enacted the Akwesasne Emergency Curfew Law as a health and safety measure for the community. As a result, non-essential travel is restricted from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. This curfew has an effect on operating hours of local businesses like marinas. View the remaining measures of the Akwesasne Emergency Curfew Law on MCA's website. Akwesasne is situated on a provincial and international border, covering areas in Ontario, Quebec, and New York. For those from outside the community, be mindful of the non-essential travel restrictions regarding the Canada-US border. We would also like to remind those on the water to be cautious of the no-wake zone near Gisnina, also known as Snai. Wakes and large waves can be harmful to nearby animals, people, marine life, and shorelines. If your boat or watercraft's bow is elevated above the water, then you're going too fast. Slow down, sit back, relax, and enjoy the scenery. Our river is shared by large shipping vessels, canoes, and everything in between. Let's keep it safe for all to enjoy.
All right, great job. All right, so thank you very much to the Waterways Committee.
Hi, my name is Mel Jacobs. I'm a critical care EMT
Oh,
supervisor with Ambulance.
we're getting on to the other one there, Shannon. So we do have all the material from today's presentations have been posted to the MCA Facebook page. The links are on the MCA Facebook page as well on the MCA webpage at akwesasne.ca. You can find the PowerPoint presentation, which will also have the contact information for the members of the Waterways Committee. We thought it was important that we provide you with an update on the work that has been going, the initiatives that they've undertaken to ensure that people are aware of the laws here, what the current restrictions are, and that all of those who are on the water are doing it safely, ensuring that nobody is getting hurt, but also ensuring that all the risks because of the current pandemic are minimized to our community, and those on the water are not exempt from that. So thank you very much to our Waterways Committee for that report this evening, and thank you to all of the rest of the speakers who assisted this evening. That PowerPoints came from most of the administration, but I had asked members to assist with providing those updates to you. So we're now going to turn to the question and answer period of this evening's meeting. Many of you who are on or who will be watching later on, because this meeting will be streamed on our Facebook page. It is being recorded and will be shared on our YouTube and then on our Facebook page for others to view. It's very similar to we have done in the past with our other general meetings. They were recorded and then streamed later on. So because of the challenges that we have on this network and wanting to make sure that people's questions are addressed, we have a number of questions that I'm going to go through this evening. Hopefully some of your questions are answered. If there is time, we'll take questions from those of you who are listening in on the Zoom system. So I'll walk through these. So there was a question, this came in last month and we weren't able to answer it right away because it came in late. We do have to cut off some of these questions, excuse me, prior to the general meeting so that we can ensure that we can get to them and answer them. So the question was, when will the Wade LaFrance Road be fixed? And we did announce at last month's general meeting that construction will begin very soon. So there is a phased approach to the resurfacing of Wade LaFrance Memorial Road, which will commence within the coming weeks. The project will address 600 meters of the worst section of the road, and that will be for this year. Phase 2 will address the other parts of the road that need to be addressed, which will happen next year. So this year, 600 meters of that road will be repaired within the coming weeks. Can Wade LaFrance Road on the east end have a consistent garbage pickup day? It's not always on Thursday lately, and I think this can apply to some of the other areas in the community. Excuse me. The Department of Infrastructure and Housing, which is formerly DTS, is following up with DTC, who is the contractor to pick up the garbage. But due to the emergency shutdown, a lot of people are being at home, which is generating more trash. So as you know, we're not traveling about the schools for a while, the schools closed early. Lots of us were hunkered down at home. Has generated a lot more trash to be picked up at the roadside. So there were discussions about limiting the trash, but that has been abandoned at this point. But we will continue to increase communications with the contractor as well as to the community, and we'll continue to provide an update if the trash schedule changes. So we're aware we have to recognize that because of the pandemic, more people are home generating more trash, and it's created a bit of a backlog, but they are working on making sure that the garbage is picked up on the designated day. Other questions that we received was, will a referendum to the community take place on the Dundee land claim money? A referendum to the community needs to take place now for the Dundee claim money that has been given to our community before COVID. The community needs to have a say on what the money will be used for, and only for the Canadian portion of Akwesasne residents to have a say and will benefit from this. The southern portion of Akwesasne has put up borders for us Canadian residents to tap into any financial help they get. I feel a proof for their physical residents will determine who Canadian residents are. So just a response to that, on December 8, 2018, the community voted in favor of 2 questions. Do you approve the terms and conditions of the Dundee land claim settlement initialed by the negotiators for the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne in Canada, which settles and releases the Dundee claim? And do you authorize and direct the Mohawk Council to execute all documents and do everything necessary to provide the Dundee claim to give effect to the Dundee land claim? The votes were overwhelmingly in favor accepting the settlement, and were 1,749 yeses and 449 noes. Section 3.1 of the settlement agreement states that compensation balances will be used for the benefits of the Mohawks of Akwesasne. This includes any eligible member entitled to have their name on the membership roll, regardless of residency. So the money has been designed for all of our community members, regardless of where they reside. With the community's acceptance of the settlement agreement, Council is obligated to invest and use the money for the benefit of the members and are bound by a strict list of authorized investments pursuant to Section 6 of the settlement agreement. As communicated at all of the information sessions, the Dundee claim, MCA will host a series of community meetings as well as a possible survey and other outreach events to gain community direction from members on how to use compensation in the most needed and most productive way. These meetings were being planned and scheduled when the pandemic hit. So we are obviously behind schedule with that. The scheduled meetings will likely be held remotely for the time being and will be announced in the coming weeks and months as our officers can resume planning. So we want to make sure that we provided the update on that, but also we need you to understand that because of the pandemic, which hit in March, slowed a lot of the work doing, or stopped a lot of the work that we were doing, and now we are readjusting, and this includes one of the initiatives. Is there an update or follow-up from the Grand Chief's June 8, 2020 council meeting on Facebook? He noted that council received an update on the preparations to begin the tendering process for repairs to Wade LaFrance Memorial Road. So a tendering of the project is underway and construction will be starting probably after the Labor Day weekend. So that relates back to the other question we talked about Wade LaFrance being fixed. Is there a management employee association within the MCA? Is there a current management employee agreement? Questions 3 and 4 have been combined. Sorry, these two questions came in together. The MCA, an MCR was passed on October 3rd, 2016 to state that the MCA no longer recognizes the management association and the management employment agreement. The terms of the employment for all employees are now covered on the general personnel policy. So there has been no management association or agreement since 2016. Question 6, if AMBI decides to do homeschooling 2 days a week and 2 days at home, will my children be provided transportation to and from a Cornwall school if I decide to remove them from AMBI? I work 80 hours every 2 weeks, and I don't have time and the resources to cook 3 meals a day, work a full-time job, and homeschool and take care of a 2-year-old. Not only that, will the MCA be providing extra funds to cover the costs of private tuition to make sure homeschooling is a success? So as you know, in our community, we have 3 elementary schools, and we don't provide any transportation to any off-reserve elementary schools, which means pre-K all the way to grade 8. And at this time, the Mohawk Board of Education will be not providing funding for private tutors at this time. I know this is a very common situation, that there are many people who are faced with childcare challenges, the challenges related to having to have their children in and out of school. There are parents who are scared, who are nervous while sending their children to school. Believe me that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the transition is going to be manageable. But as you heard earlier from the Director of Education, we could drop back into a second wave and end up all full online, and that includes off-reserve schools as well. You may know, you may not know, but the board of the off-reserve schools also are looking at various models now. They were saying that they'd be all full in classroom, but there's a lot of talk that these things will be changing. There's lots of delays happening. Schools are delaying to the end of September as well. So this is a very fluid situation, but currently right now, we will not provide bus services to off-reserve. We have 3 schools in our community that we're doing the best to be able to accommodate. Why does the tribe continue to expand their travel ban, Franklin County, and the MCA remains at 50? Can we not establish a survey of sort to see what the people of Akwesasne want to do with the radius, either expand it or abolish it completely? Well, I can't comment on why the tribe makes decisions as they do. We do dialogue with them on them, but that is ultimately their decisions. But for the MCA, as reported earlier in our presentation and through social media, we've increased the travel radius to 100 miles, which is 160 kilometers now. And that's but excluding Montreal due to their high numbers. However, essential travel to the city of Montreal can occur, and we'll continue to monitor the COVID-19 situation and make additional changes or modifications as necessary. So if we continue to see the cases go downwards, hopefully that's where we continue to go. These restrictions are always revisited. As I mentioned in our presentation, council meets specifically on COVID business once a week, and also with the tribe once a week. And these are discussions that we have, and there's lots of factors that take in place. So the restrictions, the radius has been changed right now. We'll continue to monitor it. Cornwall is a bigger and more populated city, yet they have no travel restrictions and no curfew. There has yet to be a death in Akwesasne from COVID, and 80% of the deaths in Canada have happened in long-term care homes. MCA needs to pay more attention to what is happening in their own long-term care homes. PSWs and nurses are continuing to work extremely short, which is leading to increased work stress and union grievances. We also lack the proper PPE to not only care for the people with COVID, but to deal with the cytotic medications that we are exposed to every day. If the schools don't open, these issues are going to get worse because people will be forced to quit just so they can provide schooling for their large families. So these concerns mainly seem to be around employment related. Rest assured that these comments have been forwarded to the administration anonymously so that they can go ahead and be aware and make the changes or be updated on how things may be happening there and to further investigate. I know that you have already touched based on this with your last CKON appearance, but we feel that our question was not presented as we wanted it. So we are asking again, is the $485,000 surplus include the 6% for healthcare workers are paying back? So at the last general meeting that we had, we provided an update on this or a more thorough explanation. These are administrative matters. We want them to remain within administration, but I think it's important that we acknowledge that we received them. So it's my understanding that the executive director sent out a memo to the Department of Health employees dated August 17th, 2020 to fully explain the pandemic pay. If anybody did not receive this memo or understand the explanation, I encourage you to reach out to your supervisor or contact the executive director directly. She was on the meeting last week and made that offer at that time. It appears that these are employment-related issues, and we want administration to ensure that they're followed up and people's inquiries are responded to. What guidance are you providing to families who are sending kids away to attend post-secondary outside of the 100-mile radius? So there's no separate or additional guidance required for families with children attending post-secondary institutes outside of the territory. The Akwesasne curfew law applies to residents of and the people coming into the territory. Education is considered an essential purpose when traveling outside of the territory. But we do want to ensure that people, regardless of the purpose, are taking all precautions to keep themselves safe and keep themselves, their families, and our community safe. And that includes by social distancing, make sure that you're wearing face masks, frequently hand washing, using hand sanitizers, because we know that most of the cases that we have had, whether it be under the Canadian jurisdiction or the American jurisdiction of the COVID, have been brought into the community by persons either traveling out of the community or traveling into the community from places outside of the community. So that is the questions that we received ahead of time. We have about 20 minutes. I do have a few other announcements to make, but I do want to give those of you that are on the Zoom system an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have for me or any of the presentations or for any members of council. So if you want to raise your hand and unmute yourself and acknowledge that you have a question, we can do that now. Those of you that may be on the phone that aren't able to have the Zoom system, you press *6 and you'll be unmuted. And we'll answer those questions. Mind you, if you're not comfortable asking them in the system, we will again have our general meeting next month. You can email your questions in as well at that time, and we will answer them as we just have done this month for the questions that we've received over the last month. So. Okay.
Abram, it's Vincent.
Hi, Vincent. Go ahead.
Hi, I can't put my beautiful face on the Zoom. I don't know how to do it, but
that's fine.
You can just use your imagination. But one of the questions I had, and I thought maybe when the Waterways Committee was speaking, is two things, I guess. I think it was last week or the week before, there's a hydro line. I believe it's a hydro line that goes from Snai to Yellow Island. And somebody with their sailboat hit that line. And I think it it killed the electronics on their boat. Is there something that we can place on that hydro line that can make any boaters or anybody more aware that there is a line right there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it would be, we can get in contact with Quebec Hydro, who would be the provider of the electricity, but absolutely, we can make sure that there's signage there to ensure that doesn't happen, because we don't want anybody getting hurt, but we also don't want to lose power to that island.
I don't think they got hurt, but their instruments died. And yeah, they should be looking out a little bit better, but there's perhaps something that can be hung on that hydro line that makes it more visible. The other question I have that's very important to me is, and I talked to the, I don't know if it's the director of environment or the manager of environment. And I was talking to her about my concern about and I thought that was in the waterways discussion too, but it might be some other like table or focus group or whatever. Is like some places along the river that some people are like gouging land out to make marinas. They're gouging land out to just have a little area to park their boats and stuff like that. And then there's other areas, which is the exact opposite, where there are people adding land to, well, a lot of places is and were at one point, I don't know, help me with the name, like it had weeds in it and like a swampy area of the river. And my understanding, my very limited understanding, is that a lot of those areas were habitats for like indigenous fish and wildlife, and maybe were used by muskrat and stuff like that. And I'm worried that nobody, like the council doesn't seem to have any control over that. And that it may be changing the wildlife environment in our community. And that I don't know what's going to come up. And as Aboriginal people, Indigenous people, Mohawk people, we're supposed to be like keepers of the land and the water and what all the things that Sungwayat Dizo had given us. And so I think we're dropping the ball on that as a community, and especially as a government. Can you tell me what is being done in regards to that issue?
Yes, absolutely. Does any member of council want to tackle that? I know this has been a long-standing. Toby, I see your hand up, so I'll go to you. Go ahead.
Hi, Vincent. We were actually made aware of some of the comments on an update from at our last portfolio meeting, and we had a discussion around this because we know it's a big issue and it's been one for many, many years. So, you know, we do care and we are working on it, but the thing that we have to keep in mind that always kind of comes back at us is, you know, it's really hard to go onto a private homeowner's land and tell them what to do. We know how people in this community tend to react when that happens. So, you know, we don't really have any mechanism for that. We do have our laws, and, you know, the fines are very minimal as they were done a few years back. We have a list of things that we're looking at updating. It's just taking some time. And, you know, with the discussion with environment, we know that a big part of this is going to have to be community education. You know, we have to get the reasons out to the people as to why you shouldn't. And, you know, if, you know, like the animals and the plants that are in there and the reasonings and things like that to kind of get that more out there. And as well, you know, we did have some very brief discussions about like a protected area, looking at possibly developing something like that. And, you know, throughout my brief time with environment, we've had discussions at a higher level, very kind of introductory, to look at how we would do like remediation in other areas if people are kind of set on altering their land, that then maybe, you know, for every acre that is disturbed, we protect another acre somewhere else, or possibly remediation as transplanting those dangerous or, endangered species of whatever. We do know it's a very big issue, and we are looking at ways to address it, but it's been a problem in this community for decades. People have been doing this. It's going to take a multi-pronged approach to this. And, you're absolutely right. It's going to take everyone in the community to do this. This isn't something that, is solely falls on one person or one group, and not even just one district. It happens everywhere. So, we have started to have those conversations around developing materials and what kind of strategy and how the best way to approach this, basically. But we did hear your concerns. We had a very fulsome discussion about it. I don't know if any of the other environment portfolio chiefs want to add to this, but that's all from me.
Thank you. Vince?
Yeah, thanks for bringing this up, Vincent. This has been ongoing discussions even from last term. It was brought to our attention. There was even a threat of oceans and fisheries coming on board to Akwesasne, which I'm totally against bringing them on board, because I feel that we can handle these situations within our own realm of things. And we have to work diligently with our environment department and bring them up to and our community members up to what the working relationship should look like on how for people to enhance their shorelines with rebuilding habitat and for the animals that are being disturbed elsewhere, so that way the ecosystem is minimum impacted. It's been ongoing discussions. I'm glad to see other chiefs take this all seriously, so that way movement can happen in there, because it's been stalled in the past. And I'm one of the ones, and I know the other chiefs probably share my opinion, that we shouldn't be bringing in oceans and fisheries in here at this time, because I still feel that there is room for us to work together in resolving these issues. One is, however environment designs a shoreline and says, okay, we're allowing you to do this, but you have to do it this way. And then there's the enforcement part that needs to happen to ensure that those things are being done the way they're designed to do. So that way it's protecting the shoreline, it's protecting the species, it's protecting our weed beds, and yet the community members still get to utilize their waterfront properties the way they intend to use them. So it's ongoing, and it's going to be still ongoing. And how we do it is, I guess that's the strategy we have to do, come together on, and how we're going to move forward.
Yeah, Joe, we'll go to you. There you go.
Okay, Sego. Okay, let's start with what the New Hagen environment only walk. When I walk on a shikits could have done the gully wash. I'm together, the Ongari Wahe house, and now the Sarnico Kika Taxon squad. I know Gully Kunata Garista Gidano, Rigid, I will be Hunaki Susagandaga than Kumaya Data. In only can go and look in the environment now, she gets good in it. Those are second house I own. To get Nikuna Dano Yakirian skill Sagadaga, those are Humsate. Totikuti Humshaks can add the one yaks. On a good no, now those are the Wally Honton Jugudito. Those cannot do a shield or go only the way I do the Wally Hoylit kids in a hotanico. The sugar this one. To go low in and other side the way is at. I took a distant, I go on a day, just a little bit of, I had to use some Ganya there just to say what I wanted to say about the environment. That we've come a long way since I've been on the portfolio. And when I come on, the question was to talk to the people to stop burying old cars, fridges, stoves, tires. They were using it as a landfill on our shorelines. We've come a long ways with that, and people are still upgrading their riverfronts to use for boatings. They're putting ramps in, but
for DTS making an adjustment to have a monthly cleanup week, not just once a year. So they were able to move that around a little bit, so people aren't throwing their stoves and cars and fridges in the shorelines anymore. And from our the other day from portfolio meeting, we're kind of agreed upon to put more education stuff up there in the marshes, put more signs back up. And I mentioned the part where Ducks Unlimited at one time enhanced the marshes for the habitat for the ducks. I think we're going to revisit that, put the signs back up, and try to educate the people. And we have to keep involving the people on this hardening of the shorelines and dumping and filling. And, we're going to get back on course with that, full education to the people. And that's why it's very important to keep updating what you see. Like you see people adding to the reserve and all that. At least the garbage stopped. At least that much stopped. People are still doing a little bit of filling in, but it should be inspected before you do fill it in. But no, it's a big concern about ours at the environment. So Vincent, if that helps any, and I think in the near future, we're going to try and put more meetings up and more education up. Okay? Cool.
Yeah, Joel. Okay. Are there any other questions from those on the Zoom system for this evening?
I just want to add, thank you for those comments. But what is being like, it's great to have meetings. It's great to talk about the problems. It's great to say, yes, we have a problem. It's been a problem for years. But one of the things is that I've learned is that land, when they start filling in land or swamp and stuff like that, that's not their land in some situations. That is like community property. And that is, I don't know, like it's not their land necessarily that they're filling in on. And the other concern is what one of the things Joe said, which is we don't know what they're filling it with. You know, how contaminated could that fill be? And so I would like a report at the next general meeting from the environment portfolio chiefs on what real things have happened in a month's time to address this issue, and so that it comes to a stop. We need to stop it. We don't need to slow it down. We don't need to talk about it a whole bunch more. What needs to be done is some action from the government, which is you. If you don't want external government agencies coming in, and I don't want that either, then the buck stops at you guys. And you're the government. You put other laws in place. We need something that is really tangible work and things. And yes, I agree that the community needs to potentially be educated. But I think a lot of the people who are doing this in the community don't care about education. They just are going to do what they're going to do. And I think the government has to do what they're going to do too. Yeah.
Thank you, Vincent. I appreciate that. And I can assure you that there's been enough discussion on this. You're absolutely right. And it's been continues to on-go. One of the things that I think we need to have a conversation about in the community is how far we're going to push it, because there are some legal mechanisms available at our disposal, but it involves, working with outside agencies like Oceans and Protections, which are federal agencies, for fining. And there are massive fines that can be leveraged upon persons outside of the reserve for doing those sort of actions. And that's something we have struggled with within the conversations that we've had, is that we go down that avenue because it could be a slippery slope, but it also could, if we can use it as a tool, it's something that we need to continue to explore. So I'll leave that to the committee, the portfolio, to see what they can provide back within the next month at the next general meeting in relation to the shorelines that are being damaged and taken advantage of. So, okay, are there any other questions from any of the folks on the system? If not, I'm going to move along with the formalities of the rest of the meeting. I'll give one last shout out. Okay, so I do have to read a resolution for the record before we close the meeting, and then I do have some announcements that need to be made to accept and approve the attached general meeting minutes dated July 30th. If I could have a member of council to motion to accept this, moved by Julie, second by Carolyn. Are there any discussion on this resolution to accept the meeting minutes of the last general meeting? There is none. I'll ask for a vote on this resolution. All those in favor of the resolution, please raise your hand in front of your camera so that I can see it. All those against this resolution, please raise your hand in front of your camera. I see none, so thank you, that's carried. So I do have no district meeting set at this time. We will continue to explore that option. We're going to be training some members of council to run the Zoom platform. So this may be something that we'll be doing. We really discourage, having in-person meetings just because we've seen how people react if there's a possible exposure. It really sets, puts a lot of people at unease. So our next general meeting will be September 25th. We will have that on the Zoom platform. I do want to say one of the things we may consider doing after the September one is streaming it live on Facebook. The only concern we have with streaming it live on Facebook is that if questions are asked by the community members that we don't want to be able to share with non-community members, it puts us in a position where, we can't answer that. When these are recorded, you're invited. All members are able to attend and participate in these Zoom sessions. We do record them and stream them online later on. But if there is sensitive information, we then can block it out at that point. Going live on Facebook, we cannot, right? And it's just for things about land claims or things that, people don't want general audience to see. I just need to put that out there. If we can control that, we can go live on Facebook and have our presentations. We'll have to look at that. I know that some people have been asking for that. We did have an information session on police last week. I think that went very well. Lots of questions received. We will be having another one in the coming weeks with more members of council, the police commission, and representatives of the Akwesasne Police Services. So please stay tuned. We'll set another date. We'll do it the same format. We get lots of questions, lots of good questions that we'll go through to be able to help provide that information to the community. So I do just want to turn to Chief Connie Lazor, who needs to address the community this evening.
Are we good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, everyone. To council members of Akwesasne community, thank you for providing me with the opportunity to speak tonight. In 2018, I became the subject of 2 separate complaints from my brother and his family members. The first complaint made was that I acted unethically by filing a formal complaint that my nephew's spouse was residing in our lands without permission in violation of the Akwesasne residency law. The second complaint was that I acted unethically when I ripped up a piece of mail that was delivered to my mailbox. My hearing was held in January of 2020 in front of Justice Darlene Francis in the Akwesasne Court. I wish to provide a brief context. I am a chief dedicated to the rules and laws of our community. I have sworn an oath to uphold the laws of our community. It was my position that as a chief, I knew that our laws were knowingly being broken, that it was my job to report the behavior despite any family ties or historical background. It remains my ongoing commitment to the community to uphold the values and laws of our community. The first complaint against me was dismissed by the court. From my perspective, the second complaint is more complicated. My neighbor and I reside on abutting lands, and for years I have received his mail in error. On the day in question, I receive a letter in my mailbox, and I've returned the mail each and every time. This day, the mail was tampered with, and I visited the post office to ask the post office why and what I should do with the letter. There were 2 Canada Post representatives there, advised me that it was my property and I could do as I wished. I wrongfully relied on this advice. Since I had no use for the mail, I ripped it up and walked away without second thought. My actions were not done out of malice. However, I understand how my conduct has affected my neighbor, and I respect the court's finding regarding this complaint. I apologize to Robert and Joan Lazar for ripping up the mail in October of 2018. I would like to take this opportunity to thank council and for allowing me to speak tonight, but most importantly to the community for trusting me with your leadership. Nyawa. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. That will conclude our evening session in the general meeting of August 27th. I do need a motion from a member of council to close the meeting this evening. I'll see Tim, second by Toby. All those in favor? Thank you very much to all of you. The meeting is now over, and thank you to all of the community for joining us this evening, and we will see you in 1 month on September 25th for another general meeting via Zoom. So have a great evening, everybody.